Hello and welcome to this new episode of my Survival Minecraft Let's Play. I am iWat, and in this episode we start in front of the chicken and feather farm in the intricate world of awesome things. The reason we start here is because in the previous episode we did a bunch of small and big projects that, in my opinion, don't really work very well to dedicate a large section of the video to them. However, in the last episode, I feel like we didn't really get to do all of those projects, because there still is a bunch of similar things in our world that I want to get done. One of those is the chicken and feather farm. We are going to do a bunch of smaller projects in this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to get started, so can we please play the intro? There is actually very little to say about what exactly I did in the update of this farm. I just renamed some things, and that is why this is a smaller project. I renamed this to on-off, and I renamed these to chicken and feather output. By the way, I was kind of surprised about how little this farm has actually produced over time. We have collected a nice amount of feathers, and I believe I have taken out a stack of cooked chicken every now and then, but not much. It would not have filled up this bottom chest at all. In the next section of the video, we will do a bunch more of those renamings. So at the horse speed tester, I renamed this item. At the first flower farm, I renamed the chests to bone meal input and oxeye daisy output, and I also renamed this to farm running, because when the farm is running, this light will be blinking. The other flower farm got a very similar treatment with renaming of the chests and the item. At the sniffer farm, we renamed the chests and the item in a similar way. In our villager breeder, we renamed a bunch of things. We renamed this to get new villager, because this is the button to get a new villager. We renamed this to kill the villager. And we renamed this to keep the villager. And this is the swap button between those two modes. Also, I renamed this to working stations. Over at the zombie villager curing system, I have renamed this rotten flesh to zombification mode, because this lamp indicates whether or not we send the villagers to be zombified. I think that's it. I think we have renamed everything that I intended to rename. Next up, I am going to fix a slight annoyance of mine that happens in this area specifically. When we go down here and you do it just right, you actually hurt yourself, and that should not be intended when using an elevator like this. Luckily, it is an easy fix because we can just move the water up a couple blocks so we go through it and then land on the ground. We actually have the same design with the same flaw in different places, so I am going to change it over here as well. However, I have to note that I have never actually had the problem where I took damage in this elevator specifically. Fixed. Same problem, same fix. Next up, I want to do something that I have been putting off for a very long time. You see, over time we have built these gorgeous 4 houses right here. And inside of these houses, I very often use armor stands as decoration. So for example, right here at the entrance, there is an armor stand. But the strange thing is, when I finish these buildings, I never really bothered to put armor on those armor stands. And that's not really my intention. I always intended those armor stands to have armor on them. And I never really got to doing that, so I know for sure this one has a bunch of them, so over here, yeah. And today is a day that I am going to put armor on those. It turns out there weren't that many armor stands without armor. In my mind, there were much more. This one in the zombie villager curing house got iron armor to decorate it. And now let's go outside and let's go to the other house that had a bunch of armorless armor stands. And right here at the entrance we did a pink armor. And then we can go to that one room that had a bunch in which we did some diamond armor and some more colored leather armor. The next item on the agenda is this, our villager box. We have our villagers sitting here in a small enclosement in the middle of our field. And sadly, I think that's not going to change today. Eventually it will, but not today. So when I've been trading with villagers, I usually trade with this guy to get glowstone and redstone, and to do so I get emeralds from the guys who trade in iron. But I think our villager system here is due for an update, because we have a couple of them just sitting over here, and you know, there's just a couple of things that can be improved. And I think that's what we are going to do today. We are going to add some more villagers to this, and we are going to expand the villager box. This will never not be a funny sight to me, just a bunch of villagers sitting in minecarts right next to each other. Ladies and gentlemen, the new and improved villager box is here. As you can tell, I have made it quite a lot bigger, mainly because I wanted to hold a lot more villagers, more specifically more of these guys, because these are the ones that we use the most for glowstone. And there's actually a couple other improvements that I have made compared to the previous villager box. One of the things is that I have sorted my villagers, and that is nice because in the previous design all of the villagers were kind of together, and sometimes that was a bit annoying when you were trying to find a specific one and you couldn't really find it in the mess of villagers. Now that will be a little bit more easy. But as you can tell, there are still a lot of villagers missing, and that is being worked on right now. But it turns out that our villager breeder is quite slow, so within the next couple hours I will probably check on the villager breeder every now and then, and when I have new villagers I will fill them in right here. I think that by next episode all of the villagers in here will be, you know, sorted out and filled in, and they went through the zombifying process and all of that. Now, we are standing right next to this guy. This is a wandering trader that spawned, and I was kind of waiting on this because I wanted to catch some of these llamas. You see, a very, very long time ago, when we built this sugarcane farm, we also included this space on the top behind the glass. And the idea for this space was that that would be a good place to display one of the mobs of Minecraft. Because throughout my base, I would like to display a lot of the mobs. And since then, we didn't really do anything with this, and today is the day that we are going to put a mob in there, and that will be llamas. Remember that time when we spammed a bunch of torches in our field? Well, it's great, and you can tell it's great by, you know, it being nighttime right now, and there not being any mobs. But I've had the occasional zombie, and usually they come from that hill up there. And today I want to do something about that. So I have filled my inventory once again with torches, and we are going to do the same as we did back then, and just spam torches everywhere. I feel like there's no real good way of showing this process to you on camera. It's just go to the area where it's dark at night and just spam torches everywhere. And I don't know if this is like the most interesting thing to watch, so it's really conflicting if I show all of this or not. Oh, there's a large ledge here where there is no lighting whatsoever. Actually, this is a really interesting angle of that giant cave area. Wow, that's an angle that I don't see very often. And why are all the sheep and chickens and everything like right here? So, I have lit up quite a considerable area here using those torches. Now, I have to clarify that I didn't even use half of the torches that I created before doing this, so this area was not nearly as big as I thought it was. But I think this should suffice in no longer having the occasional zombie get to me in the area where we live. So basically everything that you see right now is what I lit up. So mainly this hill right here, this is the most important part. And then also this valley or flat section right in front of us right here. I think the hill is the most important part since that is the closest to the plains where we live. Now, if we go down, we can actually show you until where I have placed those torches, because I have placed them all the way up to the river. And that is intentional because I don't think it is very likely for mobs that spawn on the other side to actually make their way across before they despawn. This also means that this area over here is now lit up, which is the custom river project that goes into the mountain towards the other things that we have built. For the next project, we come over here to the Nether. And the reason we come here is very simple. Every time I come into the Nether, I have to navigate these tiny one-wide bridges. And every time, you know, that's very dangerous and just difficult to use in general. Now, I don't think I am going to build a proper Nether hub today because I have some plans for that, and those are perhaps a little too big to fit into this episode. But we can definitely, around this spawn area, make the Nether bridges a lot more walkable. I think this is a sufficiently large platform to walk around on in the spawn area of our Nether. It's not like we come here very often, so the exact specifics of this platform don't matter too much. But I can tell you this will be a very big improvement compared to the narrow bridges that we had earlier. However, there is one potential downside, and that is actually quite well demonstrated right here. Mobs tend to spawn quite frequently on this platform, and that might be a little bit annoying because then we constantly get attacked by random things, and we have to deal with that. But I think that will be much less of a nuisance than walking off the edge, falling down, and then constantly having to work my way back up again. Also, we have armor and weapons to deal with these mobs, so I think that is a lot better. Speaking of my armor and my tools, as you can see, there are still a couple of pieces that have not been upgraded to Netherite yet. And that is the second reason we come to the Nether today. I want to mine for some more Netherite. If you don't know how ancient debris mining goes, just mining with a pick is way too slow because ancient debris is so rare. Instead, there are great alternatives available, such as the bed. And then sometimes you get lucky and you find ancient debris, like we did behind us somewhere. Yeah, over there on the other side. Wait, let me go take a closer look so I can show you, like over here. This is when we got lucky. But usually you get unlucky and it can actually take quite a while before you find any. Alright, that trip to the Nether only got us 11 ancient debris, and combined with the single netherite scrap that we still have in storage, I think that means we can make 3 netherite ingots. And I think I am just going to upgrade my armor. Now, I feel like I want to go on a little bit of an adventure. You see, there are certain things in this game that we simply cannot get if we always stay at our base. One of those things is an axolotl, and I want an axolotl. So we are going on a trip to catch an axolotl. In our quest to find an axolotl, we come to the Badlands biome, where we come to get terracotta. And the reason we come here is because below our feet there is a lush cave biome. And of course that is the biome in which axolotls spawn, so that is exactly what we want. Now, because I have knowledge about this seed, I know that I should come over here somewhere. And I think this is it. Yeah. So over here we have this giant cave entrance. And this is a good entrance to this place. And we immediately get attacked by the witch and the creeper. And now the question is, can I kill the creeper without it exploding? Yes, I can. And now we can kill the witch. And I have been poisoned. What I think I'll do is I'll just explore this place a little bit and maybe harvest some of the plants. And when I find something interesting, I think I'll get you back. My god, it really opens up. This is a great cave to do some exploring. Now that we are here underground anyway, I feel like this is also a great opportunity to collect some of these ores, because at some point in the future I think I will be looking for these resources, and that means that it's just beneficial to pick them up, and we should collect them if we come across them. I have been looking for such a long time, and I have eventually found one, and it is in such an annoying spot to actually show it to you. Somewhere in this puddle I saw one, and it was at the bottom a moment ago. Oh, there we go. Oh, there's immediately 2! Let's catch them. There's one, and the other one is over there now. That's 2, okay. Now we have enough in theory because we can breed these, but I think there's something with their colors where you want one of every color, because then you can breed all the different colors if you really want to. So I am going to keep looking for a little bit. Oh my god, why am I on fire? Why do you have a fire sword? Oh my god. It didn't take me that much longer to actually find the other colors of axolotl, because basically all the axolotls that I found were in that one single body of water. So in my inventory right now is basically all of the things that are relevant that I brought from that trip. And now that we have all the colors of axolotl, we can make as many axolotls as we possibly want using these buckets of tropical fish to breed them. I was just renaming these axolotls to make sure that if we place them in the world, they do not despawn. And while doing so, I was looking up some mathematicians to name them after. And can we just appreciate what an amazing name Jean Laurent d'Alembert is? It's such a great name for an axolotl. I love that this is a name that we choose for the axolotl. Next up, we come to this area once again. I can't seem to get enough of working on this area, and this episode is not any different, because today I want to continue doing the preparational work of this area. And what I have in mind for today is very simple. So over here we have a flooded cave, And I just want to get rid of the water. And on top of that, we actually have two, because if we dig over here, there is also water over here. And I want to get rid of all of this water today. Getting rid of water in Minecraft is actually really boring. That is why we do it in this episode, where we do all of the small things. Because all you do is just place blocks in the dark, in this case. And then when you're done, you have to remove the blocks that you have just placed. And there's nothing really more to talk about here. It's just placing down blocks and removing them when we're done. I have filled in both of these flooded caves with stone, and I'm not entirely sure how I can show that to you. I mean, I can just walk up to one and just dig up, and you can see it's only stone and there is no longer water. But as you can tell by now, I have not mined them back out again, and the reason for that is that I am still thinking about the exact details of what I want to build here. And I think that once I have a very clear idea of what exactly I want here and what the exact size of that should be, then I am going to dig myself a hole in the exact size that I want it. And, you know, then everything will be more clear what I should do with this area. If we do that, we don't have to deal with this annoying water anymore because of the work we did today. For the next part of this video, we come to this build, because this build still isn't completed. On the left side, we have built a fully functional wax farm that actually has produced quite a lot of wax over time. And on the right side, I intend to build a honey farm. But right now, nothing really is happening on the right side, and that is what we are going to build now. We are going to build the redstone mechanism of our honey farm. The honey farm redstone is probably going to be a little bit more complex than the wax side. And the reason for that is that we somehow have to make the bottles cycle back into the system once they have been emptied. But I don't think it will be too complex to resolve. I think it will still be a relatively simple job. If you have ever worked with bees in Minecraft, you know how much of a pain it is to get them in the place where you want them to be. And today I want to place my bees in this like holding chamber for them, and I think I have figured out a relatively quick and efficient way of doing so. So we go inside of the holding chamber, and I have prepared my bees before in beehives like this. Also, I have made an escape hatch using trapdoors so I can get out. And the way we do this is we place down our hives like this, and then we use a flint and steel like this to, oh dear, to get the bees out. Now I hope they live because they are burning. They do. Phew. Right. And we do the other ones as well. Okay. And we get rid of the fire. And now I think all of the bees are in here. And now we have to do the most precarious part, and that is getting out of here. And we do that when we get the chance like this. You might lose this trapdoor by, you know, fixing it and replacing it with a block you want, but I can't do that right now because then all of them can come out, and I have to wait until they give me a second so I can replace this block. Alright, we now have a fully operational honey farm. However, this farm hasn't been running for a very long time because, well, I just built it. So at this point in time, it has not produced any honey. But if we go into the bowels of the redstone, we can actually look in this hopper over here, and here I can confirm to you it is working as intended and it is producing honey. So eventually we should expect to see some honey blocks in this chest. Now, to explain how this works, I will start by saying it is actually, for a large part, very similar to the other side, our honeycomb farm. But I feel like I am going to cover how this works in full detail again. So what we have here is behind the bee nests, we have a comparator that detects how much honey is in there. And when it is ready to be harvested, we pull this signal and we make it loop around and go into this block, powering this dispenser, which has a bunch of honey bottles in it, and that will harvest the honey. That honey bottle will then get pulled down by these hoppers, and we put the honey bottles inside of this crafter. This crafter has a comparator that detects how full it is, and when it is filled up completely, it will craft into a honey block like this. And that's actually interesting. I picked this honey block up. Okay, sure. That was actually a great timing, a great demonstration, by the way. So, that crafter usually spits out its honey block into a water stream. Let me think how I can show that to you the best. I think I can just break down over here. So here we have then a honey block that goes in there. And now I have to close this again. And the water stream goes into a bubble column over here, taking the items up to the top. And then over here, they drop down. And they drop down up to this item filter. The reason we have an item filter over here is because we also picked up bottles, because the crafter also spits out the bottles again. And the bottles will not get picked up by this hopper, and they will continue in a water stream that goes over here. And then over there, and it will drop down, and it will go over top some hoppers that are above these dispensers, and that will allow them to fill back up with bottles. So we are reusing the bottles. And with that, I have basically explained the whole mechanism. There is only one last detail, and that is these pistons at the back here. I like to add all the bezels and wheels, all the bells and whistles to my farms that I can. And usually that includes an on-off button. And in this case, these pistons are basically the mechanism that allows me to turn the farm off. So if I go over here and press this button, you can see that all the pistons extended. And that is useful because now we break this redstone wire over here. And that means that we can no longer ever harvest honey. And that essentially has turned the farm off. And that is controlled by this wire over here. That is controlled over here with this redstone block. And this redstone block switches between two alternating positions every time we press this button. So as you can see, now it's in the other position. And on top of powering the pistons, this redstone wire also goes to the lamp on the top, so that we have a nice indication over here is the farm on or off. And with that, I think I have explained basically everything. There is also a mechanism to turn the farm off on its own when it is completely filled up. But that's not too important in my opinion. I think I've explained all the relevant things. Ladies and gentlemen, with the completion of our honey farm, this is a great point to end this fruitful episode of my survival Minecraft Let's Play. In this video, we did a bunch of smaller projects and we made a lot of progress, and I really enjoyed making it. But I cannot make this video go on forever, so we have to end it at some point, and that point is here. With the end of a new video, there also comes the fact of the video. And the fact of this video is that during World War I, there were bagpipers that played their songs during battle on the front lines. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope I can see you in a next episode. And as always, keep wondering.